Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am DJ Montage, also known as the man behind the glass. This evening is episode 5 for Values and Beliefs with Genia and, coaching sessions with Jesse and Genia. This episode tonight is going to be about values and beliefs, and it's going to follow with what we did last week with talking about emotions and feelings. All right, well, let's go ahead and get this episode started here. All right, let's bring the guests in here. Here's Jesse and Genia.
The guests.
The guests.
We have arrived.
Yay, we're here.
Dun, dun,
We
dun.
teleported yet
We're
again.
so happy to see everybody,
We are.
especially you, DJ.
Well, thank you. Well, it's
Happy
great
Monday
to have you
night.
guys back again.
Oh yeah, we're here Mondays. It is. We love it. We look forward to it. We're happy to be here.
Absolutely.
It's awesome every time we get a chance to do this.
That's right.
Now, with this week here, last week we were talking about emotions and those feelings. Let's see if we can segue from that show to our values and beliefs. This show.
Okay.
Yeah, those pesky emotions and thoughts we were talking about. Those, you go
I don't think they're so pesky.
Sometimes they can be pesky.
No.
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
But-
So last week we spent a good time kind of diving into the two emotions, how we react to them, where they might stem from, and how they cluster and become our feelings, and if we repeat them, the 90-second rule, the biology of thought. The biology of emotions, and if we feel an emotion that comes from a thought,
right?
Recent science actually studies over the past 30 or so years have shown us that about 90 seconds is what that cascade of neurochemicals and biologic responses to a thought and emotion should last, unless we regurgitate it,
Yeah.
ruminate it.
We dwell on it, and we keep playing that tape of
that
the
just
thought that
kicks
just
off the 90-second timer, and away we go
and then
again.
we're just in a loop of 90 seconds for eternity. Thought to emotion to the thought. The brain's talking to the body's talking to the brain, because we know they're connected like 100% of the time, but we forget that part, and then we just stay in the circle of crazy.
Exactly.
But before, the thoughts that can lead to emotions, and then we get on that, Ferris wheel of frenzy. There's something happens way before, probably, that we're not even aware of, right? There's another layer kind of underneath that holds our beliefs, right? And that's kind of what we wanted to sort of touch on tonight. Where does all this stuff come from? Well, it comes from you, and it comes from the beliefs that you have created, I've created, Jesse's created, even DJ, the beliefs we create through
Indeed.
our lifetimes. So, the little, easy kind of timeline of things. You got your beliefs that create, right? Your thoughts that create the emotions that will influence our behaviors or our actions, right?
Well, we definitely have an influence so far. We actually have a gentleman here. His name is David Spalding, and he has a question for us, a lighthearted one.
Awesome.
I love it. Oh, it's Dylan. Welcome back, Dylan. Hey there. Nice to see you.
Hey,
Welcome
Dylan.
back. Our
He
number
asked,
one fan. We love you, Dylan.
"Hey everyone, I want to start with a lighthearted question. How do I get over my depression of the lightning losing the cup?
Oh.
But in all reality, love your work."
Well, I'm sorry that the Lightning lost the cup. That's sad. That is sad. We love our Lightning. We love us some hockey, and it's tough when we're putting our heart and our souls in our teams, and damn, they just let us down. What? That's not even cool. But I feel you. I would have loved for them to have won the cup. That would have been awesome. Lightning everywhere. So how can we help him get over his depression?
Well, what we can definitely say is that Dylan, unfortunately, you have no control over how well anyone does in any external circumstance,
Yeah.
especially your favorite hockey team. So that's what we look at as an external circumstance.
Sure.
It's an external event, circumstance happening, maybe external words or behaviors from other people. But in this case, very specifically, one team, our team, Dylan's team losing,
Right.
no control.
No control. And a lot of times we take it personally because we feel so part of that tribe, that team, or even that TV series. Like Dylan, I've watched many, seasons of many shows, and sometimes I get very emotionally invested. And then when it's done, it kind of sucks for me for about a couple weeks. Like I miss my friends.
Right.
Like I miss all these people. So I totally know what you're feeling.
So
Right.
probably the most important step, I mean, if we're going to put steps in place here to alleviate Dylan from his depression over the losses by the Lightning, would be step one, recognize it's external. You had no control over them losing. You have no control over changing that past. So there's a level of acceptance.
Absolutely.
So it starts with acceptance, and that literally is just an intentional thought that you create in your mind. Okay, they lost. I can't change that. Moving forward, do I absolutely believe that they'll never win again?
You're talking about beliefs. I like it.
There lies the hope.
Right.
So you use the word depression. I would suggest it may not necessarily be depression. It could be sadness, a feeling of loss.
Right.
And probably a pretty profound one. So not that that's any less impactful.
But I love that you slid the word hope in there, like
Exactly.
hope for the future. Let's hope that the Lightning, maybe next year they'll win, right? So, we're not saying be all positive. Oh, they're such a great team, and I'm so glad that they lost. We're saying, okay, they lost. It hurts. It's a loss. It's a pain. But guess what? I'm gonna find that little shred of hope for the future, and that can help propel you through your depression.
Yeah,
Hope is a big one.
I would just add to what you said there. Don't resist it. So it's one of the things that we talk about a lot is resisting the feelings, resisting the emotions versus letting them flow through you. The simple statement, as horrible as it may feel, they lost, they're out. Okay. By saying it, you're accepting it, and now you can move through it. Look, it didn't kill you.
Nope.
It didn't maim any part of your body. It hasn't resulted in, some catastrophic element in your life. It is feelings.
Right.
So feel them so that you can experience it and go, okay, you know what? It's bad. I wish it were different, but it's not that bad.
Right.
And therein lies the hope.
And you can, kind of tie that thread through different aspects of your life, whether it's, your favorite TV show ending forever and always, or the general disappointments, challenges, and obstacles that come our way. Same philosophy. It can be applied, not just to the Lightning or, the Super Bowl or whatever.
DJ, you wanted to say something?
Yes, it's actually amazing. And this ties in with the values and beliefs that we're talking about this evening. It's amazing how much energy we wrap up into these things and the beliefs that we put and keep to our heart. That's why those feelings of, like, for instance, Dylan, where the Lightning team lost, you felt that deep inside. And some people really get emotional about those things. Or if they're winning or losing, you'll see people either arguing or being angry because, oh my gosh, he missed catching that football, or some other things like that, or didn't get that goal. It's amazing how those things become so intricate with us.
I love that you said that, Rob, and that brings up another point that I find interesting about us and humans is that we sometimes wrap so much of our own identity in the teams or the affiliations or the clubs or, that we belong to. Right. So, I'm a huge Saints fan. I love the Saints. I love me some New Orleans Saints. I always have. Right.
Mhm.
And they're not very great recently, but, I would tie my identity to that team. They're my team. I'm, I'm part of their team. And when they would lose, I would feel it. I'd take it personally. My team lost, so it meant something about me. I'm like part of a losing team, so I might be a loser, So I think we have to be careful of tying our identity to these affiliations, the associations. I'm all for root for your favorite team, right?
Right.
But when we tie our identity to things, or the clubs that we're in, or the political party that we belong to, right?
Right.
I think lines get blurred.
I hear what you're saying, and what I hear is enjoy the process, the games, the fandom, buying the merchandise, standing with all your fellow fans and screaming. That's the process.
Yes.
The product, the end product, has nothing to do with you.
Right.
It is, they're going to win, they're going to lose. That's not why you're there. You're there for the process.
Right. I mean, Saints winning doesn't make me a winner, although that would be kind of nice. And Saints losing doesn't make me a loser. I can do that on my own.
Absolutely. But identity is definitely worth contemplating, worth thinking about.
Right.
Most definitely.
Where are we tying our identities to our affiliations? Curious. Dramatic pause.
Well, and there are thoughts out there about this.
But it goes back to beliefs.
Right. It's conditioning. So look, you're a fan of the Lightning. Well, what do fans of the Lightning do when the Lightning loses? They get sad, they get angry, they get frustrated, they start bad mouthing, whether it's coaches or it's specific players, or maybe they feel, something that the other team, one of the members of the other team did something that wasn't, justifiable. That's what we've been taught is the norm for our behavior. So we identify with it because we are one of those fans, and we behave accordingly. And then we look at ourselves in one of those clear moments and wonder, wait a minute, I didn't really feel that, but I followed the script. And is that script something that I want to continue?
Right.
Is that who I want to be? Do I want to be the guy that's hung on the win or lose? Or do I want to be the guy that enjoys the process, enjoys the games, roots when things are going great and boos when things are going bad, but just in the process?
And again, I think that ties to beliefs. What do we believe about what type of fan are we supposed to be?
Right. Absolutely.
It's interesting. Up here in Pennsylvania, it's Eagles Nation up here, and a lot of people bleed green, as they call it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's mind-boggling. I usually don't talk about this, but I've been a Dallas fan for a long time, and lately haven't really watched any sports. But
Rob,
you have to be careful.
That's a dangerous thing to say up there in Eagles Nation.
Rob's just being vulnerable.
Oh
That's
my
it.
goodness.
Yep, I'm definitely vulnerable. But it's interesting how you can tie when those two teams come together and they start to butt heads, how the different groups work, the folks from Dallas and the folks from the Eagles Nation, you can tie those values and beliefs into those things as well.
Yeah. I think it would be important, at this point, because you said that, to put a little bit of clarity around the words beliefs and values. So as two different concepts, yes, ultimately and intimately tied.
Yeah, there's definitely a synergy between the two, but they are different.
Right. So values are the rules about life that we hold, that we don't actively think about on a day-to-day basis. But if we take time and look through our behaviors and our reactions and how different events, external events, make us feel, we can identify where some of our values are and where they lie. And there's other tools out there to help you identify your own values.
So would you say that our, not 100% of the time, but a majority of the time, our beliefs are built around our values.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Perfect.
I agree
Just
with that
before
too.
I would even go so far as to say, let's say you've got an hourglass and you start filling it with sand, and let's let that sand represent our beliefs,
Okay.
right? It's what we believe in the moment. It's the right now. And as some of the sand that first was entered into the hourglass falls into the bottom portion, hits the bottom, and becomes the base, maybe we can consider those the values.
On the bottom of the. I
Exactly.
wish I had one. Looking.
No, it's. I mean, the concept is fairly simple. It's not inclusive. It's just
All right.
the idea. So maybe, to your point, as we exercise our beliefs, we talk about our beliefs, we take actions through our beliefs. We behave because of our beliefs. We are solidifying some of those values. Let's come up with a good generalized value.
Honesty.
Okay, honesty, integrity,
Sure.
being forthright. Okay, if that's really important to you, then looking at all of your actions, you might find where you might get frustrated when you come face to face with a dishonesty or something that breaks
Okay.
your rules of
Or
integrity.
challenges your integrity, right?
Right. And that's a good way to identify, oh, wow, one of my values is honesty or integrity. When you're faced with a decision, a friend calls and needs your help, but you really don't want to go help.
Right.
Your decision is going to be driven by that value, whether you're aware of it or not.
Oh, I absolutely love this. So now on my line of progression, where I started with beliefs, go to thoughts, go to emotions, go to influencing our behavior and actions. Before all of that, you're saying there's that layer of value first.
Right.
Oh, I like that. I'm going to add that to my list. So it's the values that drive or influence the beliefs.
Right.
So in early childhood, most of our values are inherited.
Right.
By our caregivers and our parents, right?
Right. We may not necessarily come to the table, or we might come to the table, be born, start to progress, get older, and we might have some values that exist, but because they're not active,
right,
they're going to be influenced as to whether they're, I don't know, turned on, turned off. Sure. By our caregivers,
right. And then as we progress, maybe then we get a little more autonomous by our friends,
right?
The shows we watch, the movies, the books. Maybe our values change, and as in our neural development, right? That's when teenagers are always seem to be bickering with their caregivers and parents, and maybe seem a little bit obstinate. We want to wring their necks, right?
Do you know anything about that, DJ?
Yeah, is
that
DJ,
true? Yeah. Any insights there?
I'm a teenager that's 16 years old. Yeah, I know a little bit about that.
A little bit, right?
I just wanted to say also, thank you, Dylan, for that question that you had earlier.
Oh, yeah.
And if anyone else is interested, please don't be afraid to put your questions in. We will completely even leave your name anonymous. Anonymous.
Oh, no.
Wow.
Wait. I'm sorry. Say that again. Say it again.
Anonymous.
Oh, wow. Beautiful. Really pulled it out there at the end. Good job.
Well done.
No, I have a question for each of you. How would you base your beliefs from family and work? How would you differentiate those beliefs and values?
I think for me, I'll go first. Go ahead. Me, from how would I differentiate my values and beliefs from family to work? See, I think our values are kind of a common thread in our lives through both. I think our values are what keep us in alignment with our soul. And I think our values, clearly, they will change throughout our lives. I hope people's values change. I know mine have through the few years that I've been privileged to be on the planet. But I think the values are kind of congruent between both. The
Okay.
expression of my values, or I think the expression of your values could differ in relation to the circumstances, whether you're at work or at home, contingent upon the beliefs that you've wrapped around these values, right? You know, my values, I hold the value of like integrity, right? So my integrity at home might be making sure the home is all set and the bills are all paid and the dishes are out of the sink before I go to bed every night. That might be my personal integrity on the home front. My personal integrity, say in the workforce and in the corporate world, now I'm messing up. The corporate
Anonymous.
world, anonymous. In the corporate world might be showing up on time, showing up early for work, you know, not leaving until the task is done, you know, offering to pitch in, you know, a coworker that needs assistance. That might be how my integrity manifests in the workforce. But I think the value is congruent. The expression of it could be different.
Over to you, Jesse.
Over to you, Jesse. Did that make sense, Rob? With my
Yes, it did.
Okay.
I would say ditto. In fact, I would even go a little bit further and say we are definitely presented with the idea that there's a different version of us at work versus at home, and maybe we even can identify behaviors or actions that we take at work that we wouldn't take at home, and vice versa.
And then some are both. But
So what I was saying was, you know, maybe we would identify some of those things that are different. But those are the masks that we learn to wear. I think that Genia is 100% on in that there is no difference. We are at home and we are at work. Sure, we're not going to have to talk to coworkers at home, and we're not going to be talking to the kids, the spouse at work. But again, those are the kind of like the top level. Down belief, where you're asking, Rob, as far as the values and the beliefs, I think they're absolutely consistent because they are who we are, whether we realize it or not. Can we change them? Sure. So if, you know, maybe while we're at home, we have this natural state of peace, you know, relaxation, and we love interacting with, you know, our spouses or our kids or our family members or our friends. And then we go to work and we might recognize, man, I do not like talking with these people and hanging out with them and being in meetings and so on and so forth. You know, there's obviously some incongruence there, but we can spend some time looking at and unpacking, well, what is it that's causing, you know, why am I resisting work where I'm just at such ease at home? I don't think that has to do with values and beliefs. I think it has to do with your perception.
Right. Perception and the
affected by
experiences that you're going through.
Yeah, exactly. And you're looking at external events, and it's not necessarily about who you are on the inside. It's your perception of those external events.
No, ironically, if it's just not at work, it can happen at home too.
Absolutely.
And what's happening with those experiences. And
Right.
you got to really ask yourself with that, is that going to challenge what's going on with you? You know, or how is that going to change your beliefs? With those experiences that experiences that you're going through.
Right.
Oh gosh, I just had a thought and just slipped out there. So when it comes back, I'll let you guys know.
You said a very specific phrase
Right.
of changing beliefs.
I love that.
And that literally starts with you answering, or any of us answering, a question. Do I believe that my my beliefs can change?
Right.
Is that something that I believe happens? Do I see it in other people? Is it something that I think happens? Or absolutely not? My beliefs are my beliefs.
Yep, I'm dug in forever and always, right? But I think like what you said is a really important point. And I think we should say it a little louder for those in the back, that our values and beliefs can and should change throughout our lives.
Why?
You tell me why.
No. I
Yes,
asked
yes,
you.
yes. Yeah.
Why would they change?
Why would they change? Because as if we don't change, right? I mean, change is growth, is awareness, and we become to live in our own personal full expression. These things need to be checked. Like, I learned this from so and so. Is this true for me? Some people go through life, living someone else's version of their life, right? To really become self-actualized and to find our freedom. We need to, be willing to change our beliefs and our values to things that are in alignment with us. We're not carbon copies of of our parents or our grandparents, right?
Right.
So many of us think we are, or we have to be, but we don't have to be.
But so just to revisit the question, and DJ, you can chime in here too. Why do our beliefs change?
Because we change, and we're not we're not the same. Chronologically, we change. Emotionally, we change. Intellectually, we change. Physically, we change.
Right. But
neurologically, we change. We're having all these changes, and our beliefs and values must change with us to stay current to who we are. Where our circumstances change, our experiences change.
I guess my question is really, what's
maybe.
No. And everything you said, absolutely agree. But it's, why do we change? If we look at someone, if we look at ourselves, age 25, for me, that was, well, forget the math. Forget the math.
A couple of minutes ago.
When we were 25,
in the quantum,
we felt a certain way about cars, or we felt a certain way about relationships, or we felt a certain way about our mother. And then suddenly, we're 40, and we might even, and this is, I hope everyone goes through this, where you recognize, wow, wait a minute, I feel differently about that. I have a different belief about cars, relationships, my mother. I wonder why that happened. And so that was why I posed the question as to why those things change. And I think you nailed it. But even with people who are not necessarily seeking to expand their consciousness, to actively change who they are, those changes like that happen regularly, like you said, because of all of the things that are constantly changing inside of us, down to a cellular level, but all the way up to how we view things.
Right.
We might see one of our guy friends break up with 15 girls, and every time he does it, he's shunned. The friend group, plays against him, and now everybody dislikes this guy 15 times in a row. Might we pull a belief from that? Right? We might, but then we see another friend, end a relationship with someone, and man, it goes absolutely beautifully well. We spend time thinking about it, and all of a sudden, that different perspective starts to play on that previous belief. So, as an example, but just a small example.
But I think, and I think the good news is we don't have to wait till we're 40 to start questioning our values or beliefs. A lot of people do. No harm, no foul. I love, like, little kids. They're constantly questioning their values and their beliefs. You have the terrible toddler moments where the toddler, why is their favorite word, right? Because they're curious. They want to know why. They want to know why we have to have dinner at 6 o'clock every night. They want to know why they have to behave well for Santa Claus, right? They're questioning beliefs. And then, Rob, you're probably going through this right now with your teenager. That's when you're coming up against them, not only challenging their own beliefs, but challenging yours. That's why those teenage years are a challenging time. And it's wonderful because they're being curious. And then, something happens to us, in our mid-20s, we stop asking why. We stop challenging our own beliefs. We just stop doing it until, like you said, you're 40 and you're 50 and you're having this, midlife situation, then you start re-questioning, and then it's like, oh my goodness, but what is going on between the 20s and the mid-centuries, right? Where's the curiosity gone? Like, it's inherent in us. It's part of who we are as beings, is to be curious.
Right.
And I love those questions. We don't ask ourselves, why we do the things we do enough.
Right. I think we can also take what you just described and understand at least a comparison or a contrast between values and beliefs, kind of jumping back to where we were identifying the words. We might look at values as a very simple but very, very strong list of random number, arbitrary number, 5 values that are important to us and feel like they always have been. But the number of beliefs that we have that are stemming from those values, or at times maybe in bouncing off those values, just thousands of different little expressions that occur every day, and that kind of gives us an idea that, wow, I wonder if I could trace back every single one of my actions, my behaviors, my decisions back through a belief in that moment, and how it might go back and either hit that value
or be in a misalignment with that value.
Where we, from that, might actually carry some baggage, some emotional baggage.
You're saying reverse engineer it.
Exactly.
You go back to the value that's getting irritated.
Right.
Say, and irritated could be good or it could be bad. Right.
But how does it feel in the moment?
Right.
We feel diseased and we don't know why. There's that misalignment exists inside there. We've just done something and it was based upon a belief that we had, whether we were conscious of it or not. And yet there's just this icky feeling. It could be that it was misaligned from our values.
Right.
And because we're not going through life planning every decision that we make based upon some set of rules.
Right.
So perhaps that's just that misalignment coming through. Man, I just don't feel right today. I feel like, I'm a little off, or I'm stuck at a rut. Sometimes looking at your beliefs and the actions that you've taken and kind of reverse engineering back through, maybe looking for some of those actions or behaviors that misaligned with a value of yours, I think is a fantastic idea.
And on the flip side, when you're having a good moment, and you are feeling in alignment with something, it's a good way to find out what your values are.
Absolutely.
Right. When you're watching a movie and that lead character, you're like, wow, you see yourself, you see aspects in it that really spark you and that really motivate you and really give you that warm and fuzzy good feeling. Right. What value is that inciting in you?
Right. Which
one is it in alignment with you?
Absolutely.
Now, Genia, there's something you actually said a little earlier that I think that was pretty key. A lot of people go on autopilot, like you said. The kids are always constantly asking, and then there's a certain time in your life where you stop asking, and you just do, you just live, and that autopilot goes, and it's where those values and beliefs, a lot of them kind of go out the window, and you're not questioning things anymore. And it's just, I guess, being like a worker or a drone. You're just doing it without thinking.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And you said autopilot there. It's so easy to slip into that auto. Hey, I was there. I think everyone out there, at some point in our lives, we've slipped, or maybe they're going through it right now, that autopilot. Because we've stopped asking.
Well,
we've stopped getting in touch, with really our inner essence, what makes us, what makes us us. We're just getting up. We're getting up. We're taking our shower. We're getting in our car. We're going to work. We're coming home. We're taking, care of the kids, watching a little TV, having a little glass of wine, going to bed, to do it all over again, completely unintentionally. Like you said, autopilot. We stopped asking. And we're like in survival mode.
Right. Yeah, that's absolutely true. Right. And I think a good tool, something that I'll use periodically is look back over my day, look
Right.
back over the past hour, look back over the last 5 minutes. When was I in, your word, autopilot?
Right.
And when was I conscious, present,
Right.
actively evaluating who I am, where I am, so on and so forth. And I personally go through either side of that,
Sure.
doing either one of them, just hundreds of times a day, if I turn my awareness towards it, without a doubt.
Right. And hundreds of times it because you've practiced it, and you're aware of it now. You're intentional about it.
Right.
What would be a good start? Maybe at night, going, doing a recap of the day for people that are just starting out. Like, how do I get all this self-awareness? I don't even know what my values are. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know that right before you're going to sleep is a
Yeah,
great time to
Probably not.
take a ride on the ontological pathway. But at any given moment where you have a few moments, look, I think honestly, like you described, and Rob, I know this is what you're talking about, or excuse me, DJ, this is what you're talking about. It's you go to squeeze, you grab the toothpaste, you may notice how much toothpaste is still in that tube, but that was the last processing in the moment presence that you had, because the next thing you know, you're throwing the toothbrush in the toothbrush hole, and you just impulsively on autopilot brushed your teeth. Those are those moments that you can, as you're throwing that toothpaste in or the toothbrush into the holder, you go, wow, I know I brushed my teeth, but I just wasn't there the whole time. I was on autopilot. But I do remember looking at that tube and thinking, it's time to buy some toothpaste.
So awesome. So an easy kind of simple, maybe not so easy, would be circling back to what we had talked about a couple episodes ago, just mindfulness.
Right.
Just
So
being present, mindfulness, paying attention on purpose to the present moment throughout your day, right? Really being, in the moment. How am I feeling right now? What am I doing? Why did I just take the cap off my pen?
Right.
Why did I just squeeze that toothpaste? Just start getting yourself mindful in your daily life with the things you're doing already, right? Just pay attention for a couple seconds.
That will habituate looking at your actions and looking at your drivers, so to speak, as to whether or not you were on autopilot or you were present. That will help you identify some beliefs that are just sprinkled throughout your day that are causing your behavior. And when you start to recognize a pattern of belief,
right, it'll guide you down the road to the value, that is influencing those beliefs.
Right.
Here's a thought for you too, and for everybody out there that's watching. If you've ever noticed, let's say you've moved into your first house or first apartment, and when you set things up, you have to be very aware of where things are until it becomes subconscious. When you're in the dark, you can go around that table. You can go around the chairs and the rocker. You know where your dresser is in your bedroom. And it just becomes autopilot. But before that, you have to be there in every moment to remember. And then the next thing you know, you stub your toe. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's where that is, darn it. But that's a really good exercise right there to think about.
Absolutely.
Same thing with anything else, a vehicle, relationships, relationships are probably a little different, but vehicle, work.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know, DJ. I think, as we sometimes try and drag the conversation into, very real world elements that we want to talk about.
Sure.
That's actually a great place that you made it to, relationships, because quite honestly,
Life is.
If you were able to look at maybe from the 30,000 foot view, your relationship isn't the place to look for these moments of presence or moments of autopilot. But if you zoom in all the way down to, say, the last 5 minutes, in your interaction in your relationship, whatever type of relationship that might be, maybe there's some absolute nuggets and definitely some beliefs that are driving some behavior, and there's values sitting at the center of those. I think relationships is the great place to go.
I agree.
Okay.
And I also liked what you said, like when you're moving into a new house and you can't find anything. And then when you bonk your toe into the corner of the dresser, that brought up a good point, is that we get very mindful when things are painful. right?
Yes.
We humans are
Oh
so
yeah.
good at being mindful about the painful or the challenging or the uncomfortable. But it's also on the flip side, it's very mindful to be mindful and very impactful to be mindful, when things are going good.
I liked
Yep.
impactful to be mindful instead of mindful to
Well,
be mindful.
yeah, I thought
That
so
was
too.
good. Yeah,
Yeah,
good transition, good switch out.
yeah, there it is.
And here's one other thought too for everybody. There's also that saying, take a moment and notice the flowers, notice the small things. My curiosity that came from this conversation so far is when do we become blind to not being able to see those moments anymore? Like same thing as moving into the house and learning how everything is there. When does that time come?
Well, what do we say? It takes 21 days to create a habit, right? I don't know the exact moment that neural pathway is so wired that it goes from the conscious to the subconscious. I'm not the technical sciencey exact second of when that happens, because I think again it's going to be different for everybody, right? But there is that moment where you're forging that new neural pathway, and then you've done it so many times, your brain's like, okay, we got this, file it, and it becomes autopilot. I don't know. What do you think about the timing?
I don't. Yeah, I agree with you. Right? I don't
think
know that
it's all
there is an
different.
answer to the timing. However, if there's one, it likely lies in the analytic of it.
Sure.
What you just did. I think that one of the best metaphors that you and I have talked about as far as habit, also belief,
Right.
is the idea of that snowy ski hill.
Right.
And obviously we were given this, but imagine yourself standing at the top of a snowy hill. You've got skis on, and you go down for the first time. Think of that as a behavior based on a belief, and you do it once, and then you come back to the top of the hill. And if you get back into those same grooves and you continue to return back to the hill and you ski down those same grooves, you are deepening and deepening and deepening to a point where one of those runs, you don't even think about it. You simply come to the top of the hill, you align your skis into those grooves, and you're going again. So how many
I think it'll depend on the
trips down the
person.
hill?
Yeah, I think it really depends.
Absolutely. But what's
it's not a
important,
one size fits all.
it may
Yeah.
not be the number of those runs that is important. It's the fact that you are taking those runs. Why not, out of curiosity, create 2 new grooves down that hill? That is what I think is not necessarily a more important, but a better question than when does it happen?
Mm-hmm.
Is what's happening, and what can I do to either change it
Mm-hmm.
or just simply to understand it so that I can get closer to having an answer as to when is my time to go from conscious to subconscious. Because look, why is that happening? That's our body's ability to adapt and to become energy efficient.
Right.
So
Our
we don't
brains are
have to think
expending
about
a
it.
ton of energy, scoping and scanning, so it's an awesome thing that our brains do this. Like, I don't want to have to think about tying my shoes every time I tie my shoes. It's just my brain knows, this is a little less important than
It's after
scanning.
we learn it. Yep.
Right. So
And it pushes back, and
pushes back those.
The body puts it into the subconscious so that it's a lot less energy.
Right.
Hence a belief.
Right.
Yep.
That's where our beliefs are.
Exactly.
And speaking of beliefs, we have our meme buster coming up here now.
Yay,
Meme
time
Buster.
for meme busters. My
Yes,
favorite.
yes. And don't forget, folks, if you still have questions or just any kind of thoughts, please send them in to us, and we'll get them out to Genia and Jesse so they can answer you. All right. So tonight's meme buster is
we
for
have
peace. I delete, I block, I disown, I leave, and I ignore.
We have so much fun scouring social media for these memes everywhere. So this is a great one. Let's read that one again. You want to
Go
read?
ahead.
For peace, I delete, I block, I disown, I leave, I ignore. So we have 3 categories for our meme busters. There are toxic positivity, spiritual bypassing, and just BS advice. Last week's meme was just BS advice. This week's meme, bring that up again, Rob. Let's see that beauty. This one got me. This one triggered a belief that was tickled by one of my values when I had
Which
read it.
which are? Go ahead. I'm curious.
Ownership, right?
Okay.
Ownership and responsibility and accountability
To whom?
to myself.
Okay.
My
I
own
thought that's where you're going.
accountability to myself. So that's the values that it kind of gingerly touched upon
Right.
when I first read this.
I-
For peace, I think for me, peace for me has nothing ever to do with anything that's going on outside of me, around me, somebody else but me, some TV show but me. Has nothing to do. My peace is my responsibility. And I think what this meme is saying, my peace is dependent on everything else. So if I don't like it, I'm going to delete it, I'm going to block it, I'm going to disown it, I'm going to leave it, or I'm just going to ignore it. So that shows me zero accountability for your own emotions.
I would say that the author of this meme is definitely going to achieve a type of peace if they are to delete, block, disown, leave, or ignore everything outside of them.
Right.
They're going to end up with quiet, energyless loneliness.
And they're going to spend their exhausting amount of energy avoiding triggers. But what I also want to recognize in this meme, it does, to me, my heart hurts, because to me, it feels like it was written by someone that is in a lot of pain and doesn't quite know how to navigate through it. So it's just, I'm just going to block everything else that makes me feel uncomfortable or hurtful. I've been hurt, like somebody hurt this person that wrote this meme, and my heart goes out for that. But at the same time, we do have to take accountability for our own emotions.
Yeah. And as a meme, there obviously this resonated with the person who wrote it. And it probably has resonated with thousands of people who have seen it. Why? There are beliefs inside of anyone who this touches, and touches in a, yes, I believe in this type of a meme. And those beliefs are exactly what you had brought up. And that is, they have been hurt, and their response to that pain was distance, was pushing away, was distracting themselves. And what that did is it taught them, because it was probably successful in the moment, in that short term, it was successful in bringing them some relief. So over time, repeated use, getting rid of things that cause you pain or cause you discomfort. I'm going to do this over and over. I'm going to do this over and over. So I get to the point where, what have I learned? What is this belief that if something appears uncomfortable or could cause me pain, push it away, get rid of it, run away from it, delete it.
I need to armor up and push it away.
Absolutely.
And I think going with tonight's theme, I think, it seems like peace in this meme is the value. Great. Which is a great value to have. Who doesn't want peace, right? I value my peace for sure. But it's a great example how the beliefs that are tied to this value may be a little distorted.
You'd have to explain
Because
that.
the belief,
beliefs are a little toxic almost.
right. And
Okay.
I like the word distorted better, because the belief, the beliefs are, it's other people, it's other people that are responsible for my peace. That might be the distortion. So the action that I'm going to do is just armor up and block everyone away. Okay. So sometimes we have these great values. It's great to value, peace, right? But they're distorted. The belief becomes distorted when we believe that it's other people
Right.
that are affecting my peace.
Right. Where
Right.
so I hear you saying, where does your peace exist?
Right.
So Genia, where does your peace exist?
Right here.
And
Right here.
if you're
right here.
okay, if you're going to block, you're going to delete,
Mhm.
you're going to excise something away from you,
Right.
where are those things existing?
They're also going to be existing within me, but that's because I'm pushing things away.
Right. But I mean, if you're blocking,
Right, they're
if you're
out there.
deleting, it's all the external
Yeah,
stuff.
it's all the external
So
stuff.
to your
Right.
point, peace, wonderful, great value, but that's on the inside.
Right.
If the actions you're taking and the beliefs that you have learned are that in order to create this
Peace.
sense on the inside is to get rid of all these things on the outside that are quote unquote, destroying your
Right.
peace. That's where that misalignment over long term, again, you're going to find yourself alone,
Mhm.
and not just from people, but from circumstances, from events, from experiences.
Right.
And you're not going to have peace. You're going to actually have turmoil on the inside. You're going to have suffering
Right.
on the inside.
You're actually going to be causing yourself the exact thing you're trying to avoid.
So what is this meme?
For
what
me,
shall we bust it with?
Well, if I was to bust it, I would bust it under spiritual bypassing, because it's not only is it, like Rob said, the T word I don't really like, but it's avoidance.
Right.
I'm going to avoid the things that make me feel less than peaceful by just blocking them out and armoring up.
I think
Spiritual bypassing.
I completely agree with you, and it's really because of the word peace.
Yeah.
Because the meme's subject matter is about finding peace.
Sure.
There's a spiritual element
Mhm.
for each of us as to how we might find it or how we're seeking it, and therefore this is bypassing any path that can bring us true, long-lasting, long-term peace
Sure.
by short-term bad actions. So
Gotcha.
busted
Spiritual bypassing. Yes.
Nice.
We've been practicing that all
That's
week.
great.
So that
We
we
did
say
that great.
Dun dun dun. Very cool. It's amazing. With the meme buster for this tonight, I'm gonna pull it up again here real quick. For the piece, I delete, I block, I disown, I leave, I ignore. That alone for values and beliefs, we could dive so much deeper into this episode and continue it next week with so much more stuff. Oh, hold on a second. I'm pulling a cord here. Let me move my
Don't
foot.
pull a cord.
you know
want
what?
to unplug us yet.
Along those lines, DJ, you look, any of the listeners out there, anybody who's watching this video,
Yeah.
how do you feel about this meme? So that if we do end up,
Yeah.
obviously touching on it again next week, we might have some additional input. I would be very, very curious.
It'll be 2 weeks from now. So we got 2 weeks to really deep dive into that meme.
Okay.
And, send your comments in, email them to us at Rain Dance Life. Our handle's right there. Shoot a text to Broad Street South. Join the conversation. We want to hear from you all too. But I absolutely want to continue this conversation because I'm fired up now. Let's do this. Like I said, in 2 weeks, until then, definitely click to subscribe to this awesome channel, Broad Street South.
It really is.
You can find us anywhere on social at Rain Dance Life. Jesse is on TikTok now. I, also am on TikTok now. So watch out for some TikTok videos from.
I'm practicing my moves.
We're gonna do some trauma coaching on the TikTok, and
we'll definitely have to pull a few of those in and play some of them for you guys here on Broad Street South.
Right on.
No?
Working on my moves. Working on the trauma dance. The trauma-informed transformational dance. Why? Stay tuned. It's going to be big. So, and we'll do this 2 weeks from now.
Yep, 2 weeks from now, the week after the 4th of July.
Right on.
And for all of you out there, have an amazing 4th of July. Like Genia and Jesse was saying, if you don't catch us here on the live, we do have the replays and the audio, and for YouTube and some of the other services out there. Just go ahead and leave a message there for us down the road, and we'll even try to get back to you on those again.
Share
It's
with
very
your
cool.
friends, download us anytime. Download, you can watch us over and over again, especially next week when we won't be here if you miss us.
I think I said this, or I think you guys said this in one of the first shows, but I just want to reiterate this here tonight. Genia and Jesse host a group that's called Broken. I think it was about healing yourself. And this group is a personal through Zoom, or you can come in live at Rain Dance in Royersford, PA. It's usually every Wednesday at 7 p.m., if I remember correctly. And it usually goes for an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours if it gets really heavy duty. But if you get a chance, go to raindancelife.com and definitely find that link for the event and check it out. And it's for any kind of mental health, sometimes even physical health that you can talk about. You can definitely come in. You don't have to worry about talking your first time. You don't even have to bring up your live camera. You can just sit there and listen in for the first time. But definitely don't be afraid to come in and ask your questions, ask for help. That's what these guys are there for. And they are amazing.
Thank you for bringing that up, Rob. Actually, Jess and I were just talking about Broken the other night. It is our longest running support group, absolutely free to the community worldwide. Like you said, in person, they're in Royersford at Rain Dance, or virtually worldwide via secure, password protected Zoom link. What we say in Broken stays in Broken. And it is an amazing, amazing group. The transformations have been just, there's no words. It's inevitable. We have learned as much from the people that have attended.
Yes, we
and
have.
that still attend. I mean, we have wonderful, wonderful spirits that have been with us since day one, 6 years ago. We started this group 6 years ago, and we haven't missed a Wednesday night since. And it is, I just could go on and on about it. I love it. I'm fired up. The transformations has been amazing. We've learned so much.
I will cut her off and say the full title is "I'm Broken, but I'm Ready to Fix Me," and it's completely tool based.
Mhm.
So please join us.
This is not your typical support group. It is a group that is just amazing. And
thank you, thank you, DJ.
You're all invited.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I'm actually going to be a little vulnerable here myself tonight. I have actually been attending that group. I think it's for about 5 years now. And I originally went in to help myself so I could heal. I'd say about the last year and a half, I've actually been with the group and helping. And it's amazing, like these guys are saying, it's amazing to see the transformations in people and see the life come back into their eyes and be able to graduate and go back out into the world. I think we lost you there. You guys there still? Okay.
We're back.
Yep. I had a little bit of interference down there in the Bahamas, but what can you do?
Yes, it happens.
A lot of it.
A cloud went by.
Yeah. But it's definitely an amazing group. Please come on, stop in. Remember, it's at raindancelife.com. You can go to the events link and click there. The same thing, you can attend over at Rain Dance Life in Royersford, PA. I forget the address.
It's on 830 Chestnut Street in Royersford, PA, Suite 2.
19468. All right. Well, this is an amazing night. We'll definitely have to continue this for our next show. Well,
awesome.
Thank you two again. And
thank you, DJ.
Thank you,
out
DJ.
there.
Happy 4th. Hands across the water, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Indeed. Have a great day, everyone, and we'll talk to you soon.